your text and WhatsApp messages on 070-317-56537 to join us as we analyze these news stories. My name is Esther Laribi, and I have with me Somto Titilayo Ajama. Good morning, Somto.
Hello, Esther. It's good to be here. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you for joining me this morning.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Yes, you can say it again. Say it again.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, because I will come again. Yes. So we'll be having our analyst join us much later. But in the meantime, have you gotten your PVC?
Important question.
Have you gotten your PVC? What are you doing? Have you registered, or you are waiting for? When you speak to people these days, there's always maybe they started the process. They're somewhere stuck in between.
Yes.
But if you need that push this morning to say, go and find out what stage you're on, go out. This is not pushing you. Just go out, because yes, this time around, everybody needs to do something. It's not just enough that you just get to sit in your corner and say, they're not doing this, they're not doing this. What are you doing?
A friend of mine literally said this morning that seeing youth still registering and all of that till 5:40 a.m. like it's about time. And I'm like, it's about time, but say for those people now, why did they leave it up to this last ticket second?
No.
But regardless,
you won't blame them. So this
regardless,
the registration goes on Mondays to Fridays,
True.
and most people are at work
at that time. That's true.
So you can't blame them.
Some people even took time off work to be able to get it. That's true.
And you know another thing, the Nigerian factor. What is the assurance that you get it that day and get it done the same day? I've had some people tell me that they spent a whole day trying to get
anything done. So it's true.
So you cannot be.
I commend every single person going out there.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like they should have done it earlier. But the truth of the matter is, with all the stakes, all the different things going on in everybody's lives, it's just better that you do it now than don't do it at all.
Just put in the effort, do something.
Absolutely.
Do something. It's going to make a difference. All right. Yes. Thank you for joining us on the newspaper review. Send us your comments, your contributions on 070-317-56537. Let's go over the headlines this morning. And the Nation newspaper has it. APC widens consultation over Tinubu's running mate. Roadmap for a more effective policing system. PDP panel okays Wike as Atiku's running mate. Akeredolu Southwest will resist unprovoked attack. Oyebanji Kolawole Oni in fierce battle for soul of Ekiti. Over to the Vanguard.
On the Vanguard, VP slot, PDP committee picks Wike, Tinubu decide, says Imo governor. Okay. ECOWAS pushes launch of single currency to 2027. 2022 Democracy Day celebrations, significant highlights from the president's speech. Abia doctors down tools over kidnap of colleague. Interested.
And on the Punch newspapers this morning, presidential poll, Kwakwaso Obi raised stake in NNPP, LP threatening APC and PDP. Muslim to Muslim tickets, can others warn parties as Buhari meets governors. PDP names Atiku's VP on Thursday. Lagos tenant rapes neighbor's 16-year-old daughter, commits suicide. Gunmen abduct 2 in Ogu Church, 6 Katsina residents, 8 Bayelsa Manors. Twitter and others must delete certain posts within 24 hours, says federal government. Diesel price may hit 1,500 naira per litre. 75% of fuel station closed. This is coming in from the marketers. And over to the Guardian newspapers.
On the Guardian, Nigerian not defrauded in OPL 245 deal, the UK court holds. Zulum presents 20 commission nominees to Borno Assembly. Gunmen abduct 8 persons in Katsina. Demand 60 million naira.
The way this, let's stop for a while on this one. So
please,
the way this bandits, gunmen, unknown gunmen, whatever it is,
going on a rampage.
Aside that, the way they just call like they know say it did where.
That's the thing.
It did where.
That's the thing, and it's confusing really, because when you hear these sums of money, you're asking yourself, what gave them the intel? What gave them the idea that this 60 million naira is somewhere that they can ask for it and get it to be able to release such people?
Like, how are you even asking for? Like, you illegally take somebody keeping the person in detention, and you still ask families of these people to pay. Like, enough pain, enough trauma already. Then you ask for some ridiculous amount of money.
I mean, if you split 60 million between 8 people, I'm thinking, how much does one family have that they want to raise that kind of
How
money?
much does the average Nigerian earn money?
Exactly, Esther.
How much?
Exactly. So just to get that one person back, they will go into bankruptcy for how many years?
See.
And you tell me that the crime rate would not increase in Nigeria?
It is sad. It is sad.
It is sad.
Very, very sad. On the Daily Trust newspapers, Buhari takes decisions without cabal, says presidency. Party primaries, Lawan Consul serves other senators who lost return bid. PDP panel recommends Wike as Atiku's running mate. PDP to screen vice presidential candidate on Thursday. And on this day newspapers,
no cabal influences Buhari's decisions. Drama in plenary as Senate's majority and minority leaders resign. That's an interesting one. Senate resumes and declares majority and minority leader seats vacant following defection of Abdullahi and Abaribe. Uzodinma, Tinubu, not APC governors, has final say on running mate. Yadudu, aviation sector lost $2.5 billion in MRO investments to neighboring countries. Well, Esther, finally on the pen pushing newspaper.
Finally, on the pen pushing newspapers, bandits demand 145 million naira ransom for 29 wedding guests kidnapped. So wait, just wait. So,
gunmen.
No, let's start off like this. The average Nigerian, yes, a wedding day somewhere. You're thinking about how you're going to look all glammed up, your dress, your shoe, all of that. Look all like a normal wedding guest. Then you go for the wedding party
and
before you know, things just go south and somebody is telling you come and pay this for your freedom.
145 million naira.
Now that aside, just hold on to that information. Now another thing, due to the attack in Owo on the 5th of June, last Sunday, the turnout of people in churches was very, very low in Owo. This is because people now live in the fear of what if it happened again. Do you understand?
Where do I go?
And you know the very funny thing is, even if you decide to stay in your house and not go to anywhere,
it might still happen to you. Nowhere is safe, and that's the honest, saddest reality that the average Nigerian can face.
It is.
I mean, wedding guests at a wedding that is supposed to be a happy celebration.
So tell me how the groom, the bride, how they go home feeling like people were abducted at their own wedding party.
I mean, we do still, and this is just on a lighter note now. I know we shouldn't say anything lighter at this point, but would they still consider themselves married?
See, I don't even know, because at the end of the day, you don't want to, like, you cannot even have like flashback or memories of how your wedding went without remembering that,
particularly if you don't know if they've been released, if you don't have to follow through,
because at the end of the day, if people are going to, and you know the kind of society we live in, Nigeria, we can talk. Not those people where this will be happening, so person wedding the other day,
and they are honeymooning. You can't honeymoon. You can't even live your life.
No.
You can't even live your life. It's a really sad situation, and at this point, Esther, I dare say that if not, because we always say if nothing is being done and if nothing is being done fast, but at this point we require an overhaul of the entire system. The security system needs to really just let them have a face-to-face and what's your job description? What are you really doing? If you're not doing anything, can you exit that seat for somebody who knows better? Because the truth of the matter is, if we keep saying, let God will take control, God will not come
from heaven to do for man what men should do.
How many people have to die? How many people have to die? How many people have to be adopted? Where is 145 million naira going to come? Here we were still talking about 60 million. Only to look just a little bit forward, and then we hear 145. In this economy, Esther,
the same one.
It's depressing. It's beyond depressing. Honestly, it's beyond depressing.
The text and WhatsApp lines are open. You can send us your text, send us your WhatsApp messages on 070-317-56537, 070-317-56537. What are your thoughts on the headlines we've just rolled out and some of the stories we're going to be taking? Send us all of your comments. We want to hear from you. You're going to be analyzing for us today. 070-317-56537. So I was talking to somebody yesterday, before we go into this headline on the Vanguard newspaper, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and she mentioned that, so, for some reason in Nigeria, people don't like disclosing how much they actually earn.
Oh, of course.
So of course, for the very first time, this lady was able to talk about how much she earned, and she's just somebody I talk to like from afar. When I talk to her. Okay. So when she told me how much she earns at her current job, I realized that this amount of money is actually lesser than the minimum wage. So what it means is that even when we are saying minimum wage, there are people who live below minimum wage. With the way things are in the markets now, what can you possibly do with that money? Cost of accommodation is another thing. Entirely. And you put all of these things together, and what this person takes home is less
practically nothing.
Like you cannot boldly say, oh, you can do this. Now, for some reason, you just go to some places and this person gets abducted. Then you now ask such a person to raise so money amount of money. How? It's as good as telling us that you're going to release the person.
That you're just going to end the person's life, or they start working for you. That's the next. That's the
working for you thing. For how many years?
I'm honestly, I'm not even sure which one is this. Because the truth of the matter is, no matter how much you really look into it, there are too many people like that exist in Nigeria right now. Too many people. I mean, if I ask you what's the salary of people that you know, or what's the income base of most people that you know, by the time you answer, you're asking, even within a whole year, even if they don't touch their income at all, like they literally don't even buy chewing-gum,
just be saving that money.
Just be saving how much they will still most likely not make $1 million in a year. And then you say somebody should bring out, it's an exorbitant, unrealistic amount of money. But see the thing, families will go above and beyond.
Families go
above and beyond, and then you now, when the person comes back, I can imagine. Have you heard about survivor's guilt?
No, I haven't.
It's like, they say, okay, like this kind of incidents now, they kidnap a bunch of people or they bomb a bunch of people in a place, and only a few people survive. So the person is now thinking that, why am I the one who survived this entire situation?
You'll be feeling some kind of way.
I have to deal with all the after effects. I have to come back to attend this school where people there probably died. Now imagine you surviving this. Imagine being one of those guests or one of the you will now come back after your family has spent many. So coming back, they're probably looking at you and wondering, well, we're glad that you're here. So now we need to start making this money back. Ask yourself, this person would definitely be going through a severe level of
definitely, because you're going to be feeling like, oh, you made your family members go through all of this.
Thrust them into these deepest levels of poverty because they wanted to save your life. So you're ruining families in the process.
Let's go over this one. And this one on the Vanguard newspaper says, Abia doctors down tools over kidnap of colleague. Doctors in Abia State have announced withdrawal of their services in both public and private hospitals to register their displeasure over the kidnap and continued detention of their colleague, Professor Wadinachi Iweha. So he was kidnapped on Sunday, 6th of June, in front of his house in Umuokpara in Umuahia South local government area. Now, the doctors had earlier during their protest threatened to down tools if after 47 hours this colleague was not released. And now these doctors are saying we're not working anymore. That the safety of doctors in these states is no longer guaranteed. Now, do we have to get to this point where professionals have to down tools to say we're not going to work if we don't get our colleagues back? Because it is sad.
Did you say professionals? We're not talking about random professionals. We're talking about doctors, medical practitioners, quite literally the lives of people in their hands. Now imagine going to the hospital and being told by the one or two nurses that came to work
Let me
that
take that
day.
part again. Doctors in Abia State have announced withdrawal of their services in both public and private
That's
hospitals.
my point.
So even if you say, okay, you don't want to go to the public hospital,
You
can
want to go to the
hospital.
private, they're out too.
This is actually a situation at hand, and not just like you mentioned, not just practitioners or professionals, doctors, regardless of what is happening. And this is not to make anybody feel a certain way. People will break down. People will fall sick. People will die. You will need doctors, and this is
And
where
then when
we
you
get
get there, you now hear that there's nobody available. That's why I said you will hear from the one or two nurses.
I know of somebody. I know of somebody.
doctor.
No, somebody who has some kind of guilt in her heart till tomorrow, simply because sometime around when doctors strike or so, some years back, I cannot remember the year now. Some years back, this person lost a loved one because of doctors going on strike and all. So imagine that kind of a person hearing this kind of news. Everything is going to come back to the person's head and be like, you know, I do
This
this
person that you know, I can guarantee you without any fear of doubt that that's not the only person. That's not the only person. There are too many people. Imagine you're close to your due date as a pregnant woman.
See, it's going to
Then
affect
you
a
go
lot of
to the
things in that
hospital.
state. It is going
It's
to
going
affect
to
a whole lot
affect
of
a
things.
lot of things. Children. Worst part is women are then go suffer pass.
Definitely, women are going to stop because, okay, fine. A child is sick. I'm not saying that the place of fathers are not recognized. No,
Obviously
I never
not.
said that.
Nobody's saying
But
that.
go to hospitals. How many men do you actually see sitting with children by their hospital beds? How many men do you
Most
see?
of the time it's the women. So imagine your child is ill, you go there, nobody can prescribe medication, nobody can actually test your child to know what the problem is.
And you're just going to be running.
You will now
health
just be
inspector.
there giving medication, using palm oil, and doing God knows
know
what
what
when
is
you don't
what.
even know what is wrong with your child. So many things. Imagine people who surgeries scheduled.
Or people who have some kind of wounds currently in the hospital expecting to be treated this morning, and now the doctors in Abia State are announcing this.
At the end of the day, there will be a lot of casualties. And if the government really doesn't listen to the cry of these doctors, then I'm not sure how dire the situation can get for them to look up again. This is a man who was kidnapped in front of his house, Esther.
See.
In front of his house. When I said nowhere was safe, this is exactly what I meant.
So even if you talk, say you don't want to go one place, you want
If you
even
don't
if
want to
you're
go
out,
mosque, you don't want to
it
go
is
church.
it is very, very sad, and we're calling on the government
sad.
to look into this because we have enough cases on our hands already. Yes, we have a message here. Keep your text and WhatsApp messages coming in on 070-317-56537. This one is from Rusenje Mutiu, and this one says, it may be true that this government is the most corrupt in the history of this nation as posited by Oyedepo. But Nigerians won't forget so soon how much more he benefited from the last administration corruption. Now that the corruption is ongoing without him getting anything, he is crying wolf where there is none. I have studied that the so-called religious leaders Nigerians place premium on are all the major problems Nigeria is facing. This one, Senja Mutiu. So, that part where he said Nigerians place premium on religious leaders. Do we?
We do.
I was going to say the same.
We do, and
Yes.
for obvious reasons.
But at this point, saying that somebody's crying wolf because somebody's trying to call out some things that he feels in his opinion,
that you can't gag anybody from saying what they want
freedom
to
of
say.
speech, allow people say what they want
You
to say.
can't
whatever
gag
they say.
anyone from saying what they want to say. There is no fact or evidence that we know of that backs up the fact that he benefited from any administration's corruption. If he did, that doesn't say that even if money has changed hands or anything like that, it still doesn't say that he doesn't have a legitimate opinion as regards the current administrations and their activities. So regardless of whether, like it or not, and if we're being honest, everybody has benefited from corruption on one level or another. You can look at it on the most basic level. Not the people who get money in enter bus when bus inflates cost.
That's another thing.
It's a benefit, like it or not, because at that point you can afford it. Now, the other people who have a huge level of significance attached to their own benefits. But it doesn't change the fact that we all benefit from corruption on one level of another. It doesn't excuse that. It doesn't excuse what she said or what the person said. It doesn't excuse that. But at the same time, it doesn't now mean that because we're beneficiaries, I'm using in quotes now, in air quotes, of corruption, it doesn't now mean that I should not cry out or say how I feel.
When it comes to talking corruption, talking about stuff or calling people out, yes. So the person I was yesterday might not be the same person I am today. It's possible I spoke to just one person I spoke to, one person of value I spoke to might be able to change, let's say maybe 70% of the ideas I had in my head before then. So I was one person yesterday, then I get to change, spoke to somebody, I feel a lot better, I'm beginning to do things a certain way, and you want to hold me by yesterday's standard. Move on, please.
So definitely that's not the reality we live in. I'm sorry to say, Esther, but that's not the reality we live in. People like to hold on to the version of who you were. Forgetting that, because there's so much doubt in our everyday lives, and it filters from the top down. I mean, if we can't even say with conviction that the person that sits on the premium seat of power in this country is the person that we put there, if we can't say that with utmost conviction, how will you not have doubt for basic things? When I give you my word that I'm going to come through for you, of course you will doubt it. You will doubt it. And to be honest, that is something that we as individuals, the government can't help us on this one. We as individuals need to decide that, okay, we need to be more courageous about decisions that we make. We need to be more intentional about giving people the benefit of the doubt, because sometimes you never really know what they were going through at the time, how they had to yield to certain situations. Exactly, you don't know. And with all this tragedy that is going on around us, it's just better to keep your heart open, because if you keep holding on to grudges,
your chest go big.
Apart from that, tomorrow another person go hold grudge against you where they hold grudge against another person.
That's just it.
Where's the future there? No future.
We have another message here. This one is from Tony in Birmingham, and this one says INEC has no option than to extend the voters registration deadline until at least end of October 2022. Here in the US, the system registers people automatically on their 18th birthday, and in every election season, the people receive something in the mail or by phone call asking them to simply indicate their interest to vote. And when they do so, the voters card will be issued and mailed to their homes seamlessly. And many states even operate what is called same-day registration, which means registering voters on the same day of the election. At what point do we get here? At what point? Because yes, I'm actually glad the fact that for the very first time we had something called the online registration stuff. Yes, we had it, but we can do better. We can do better. We can take that like several levels for a country that has a whole lot of young people who are always on their phones,
savvy, people who know how to run the system better. Yeah. But will they be given the opportunity? Will they be given the opportunity? If they are given the opportunity, will they have any influences that would limit how far they can get? Because it's one thing to say, okay, Esther, I permit you to walk this studio. It's another thing to now say that as you are walking, I'm like, yes, I did give you permission, but probably you shouldn't
don't do this. Don't do this.
Yeah. So while you're walking, don't extend your hands too far. Just walk in a single file. So it's still permission, but it's limiting the extent to which you can truly go.
So somebody was saying something the other day, saying that we register for a lot of things in Nigeria. Register for PVC, register for NI, register for this. You have your BVN, all of the same details in all of these forms that you fill here and there. What happened to having just one database and everybody has like the same details across board, and whatever you want to roll out to Nigerians, you can use a database of maybe their address. All you just need to do, yes, I know say Nigerians we get coconut head, I agree, but all you just need to do is make deliberate actions to say when I change my address or I move from one place to the other, you will go back to update it. It should be something that should be done online. But then again, poverty rate. How many people? Or you think because you have a phone you go about with? How many people have phones? How many people have smartphones? One. Then internet.
That's a
Cost
whole
of
other
data.
business, exactly. And with cost of data and
About electricity.
increasing,
So they don't say like they charge it. Do you understand?
Too
Like, when
many
you look at all of
hindrances.
these things, you really cannot blame people. You really cannot blame people.
You see, this is why if one sector is turned around completely, it will have a ripple effect
On
on
others.
every other sector. It would have a ripple effect on a positive ripple effect. Okay, it might be negative in the sense that even if it's positivity that the good sector is oozing, because of the negativity or lack of, on the other hand, lack of infrastructure, on the other hand, it might be hard for them to receive that. So that's why all sectors need to do better. I mean, look at all the links you just made. We don't know who gets smartphone, we don't know. People ever chop na smartphone they won't buy. I mean, even if you can afford it, then you talk about cost of data. If you can afford the data, do you still you can constantly have electricity to charge your phone? At the end of the day, there's so much that goes into, and if you look at automated processes and all of that, there's so much money that goes into funding that process to even start it off in the first place. And then maintenance is a whole different business. Now I can assure you that this is not what Nigeria cannot do. It's just with all these links, all these inefficiencies here and there, how do they all come together to culminate that effect, that greater effect that we need?
All right. Thank you so much for that, Sumto. It is 4 minutes to 8 on Women Radio WFM 91.7, and this is the newspaper review. The newspaper review is where we get to review the dailies across different Nigerian newspapers, and we get to analyze them. Then we'll be having our analysts join us much later. You are our analyst for the day. So send us your comments, send us your contributions. Do you agree with some of the things that we have said? Or if you disagree, yes, we want to hear from you. I mean, nobody knows it all. So send us your message on 070-317-56537. 070-317-56537. Text and WhatsApp messages only. My name is Esther Larbi, and I've been speaking with Somto Titilayo Ajama. Let me call it like that. Yes. Now, we have a message here, and this one here is saying, good morning WFM, good morning to you too. Please permit me to ask Mr. President what happened to the rice pyramid in Abuja, because the high rate of hunger in the country is a thing. And this one is coming from Anderson in Itoki.
Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to say something at this point. Oh, right.
Rice pyramid. So,
valid question. Definitely valid. I'm sure if Anderson had the chance, he would literally ask President Buhari this. Literally, like my president, what really happened? And honestly, you will get an answer. That's the saddest thing. You'll get an answer. Okay. But will that answer suffice for the realities that we're facing today? Because sometimes some of these people in power speak, and I've said this thing before, you answer questions, but you don't answer questions. You just a lot of repetitions back and forth and promises and lip service, but nothing is actually being done
about it.
I mean, how are we still talking about Nigeria being a hugely consumptive country in 2022? How are we not tilting towards more production?
How do we go about comfortable with that tag? And we're not saying anything.
And this has been going on for the longest time. Sometimes it's sad when our parents or grandparents say,
to hear those stories.
I mean, it's a sad situation when old days as the good old days. We're supposed to believe that better days are yet to come. So how do we keep saying the good old days? It's a really sad situation. And hopefully this current administration gives us some really good answers before the new administration comes into power.
All right, keep your text and WhatsApp messages coming in on 070-317-56537. 070-317-56537. Let's go over this one on the Punch newspapers. And this one says, diesel price may hit 1,500 naira per litre. 75% of fuel stations closed. This is coming in from the marketers.
I don't even know how to feel about this.
Did you say feeling?
If 75% of filling stations are closed, I'm wondering, you think about it, you ask yourself if, even with the presence of the complete 75%, or with the presence of the complete 100%, is that is that amount of fuel stations enough to service the whole Nigerian populace? So that's one question. Now take out 75% from that 100, leading you to 15% left with this ridiculously high price of diesel. It's one question that I would never stop asking myself, like, how did we get here? How did we get here? Now, when people start talking about Nigeria and the fact that we had refineries once in a while, I mean, once upon a time, that made things so much easier. How did we get to this point where crude oil is costing that ridiculous amount in the international market, and we regular people and businesses have to be the ones that suffer it at the end of the day? So all these questions, no answer, and it saddens the Nigerian man every single day.
All right, before I go into details with this headline on diesel cost, we are being joined here now by an analyst, Nkechi Emmanuel Laide Sejinel. Good morning, Sejinel. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Good morning, Esther, Denise, and Yusuf.
Esther and
I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, I can hear you well, Esther and Somto.
Good morning, Nkechi. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yes, all right. So, before you joined us, Sejinel, we're talking about this headline on the Punch newspapers, and this one says diesel price may hit 1,500 per liter. 75% of fuel station closed. This one is coming in from the marketers, and Somto was just going over it, what she thinks about it. To purchase diesel required to power their tankers and transport PMS, popularly known as petrol, to their various outlets. Now, for what I know, this whole thing about diesel and fuel is disturbing a whole lot of things. Imagine we projecting that in few weeks' time, diesel is going to be coming as 1,500 naira per liter. People are buying it currently at 800. Some people are buying at 850.
It's breaking necks already. Now, it's not even getting to 1,000. See the significant increase, 800 to 1,500. Sejinel, you have to step in at this one.
I just want to add something before Sejinel gets to say what she has to say on this one. Now, this marketers are saying that for some reason the only solution is to raise the pump price of petrol a little. Remind us that petrol is being sold at 165 naira per liter at the moment currently. So now the solution the marketers are proposing, the only solution is to raise the pump price of petrol a bit in order to reduce the huge foreign exchange used in petrol import, as this will free up some forex for diesel import. And I'm just wondering, yes, diesel is expensive. Businesses are not having it at all. Now, fuel is being sold at 165 naira. If it has to be increased so we can make provision for diesel, both sides, this option doesn't even sound like an option to the average Nigerian at all. It doesn't.
Yes, absolutely, Esther. And unfortunately, these are the things that will continue to pop up when we haven't dealt with the root of the problem. I know, at least I'm aware myself, they will discuss this in different forms, the different ways and shapes that the problem will come on the newspaper. And it's back to, I wish it can be something different. But you see, when you are not doing something different and you're expecting a different result, of course, was defined by a great thinker back then that is insanity. So we haven't done anything different from some of the things that we've been discussing. I'm not saying anything about here in the newspaper review. I'm talking about the things that even certain governments have promised to do. Certain governments have said or claimed that they are going to do. So they come into the field and they are saying they'll do this, they'll do that. We're like, okay, no problem. And they are there, we are not seeing any changes happening. But this is the end result. This is what is the end result. And in this particular case, in this refinery thing that we'll be talking about, we'll be shouting about. And did you know that Nigerians have the audacity to thank God, like, what are we even saying? Is that are we waiting for a private individual to come and remove Nigeria from the problem that she currently is in? So it doesn't make any sense. But we're not solving the root of the problem. We're still not solving it at particular time. So when it comes to this fuel and diesel, yes, they say things that are talking about leaders now. They say things like we will now do agriculture. Everybody small, everybody has said agriculture, and there's nothing wrong with agriculture, but if you don't eat for food, if you don't put in food to continue your life for food, you won't be able to, or you won't be able to make it as we are now. But the point of the matter is, if we had a challenge in a particular sector, what are we going to do about it? Rather than running to say, oh, agriculture is the next thing. So we're not getting, the root has not been solved. And if the root has not been solved, it's going to be given today. Tomorrow is going to be petrol. Next tomorrow there's going to be something new. I'm talking about around this fueling thing. Until the root problem has been solved, we stop all this exportation, refining thing, and we sit down and say, what are we going to do in our country that will move us from where we are to where we ought to be? I also want to add, I know that things are getting better now compared to what it was before, because to be honest, 5 years ago till this time, there have been a lot of improvements in the way different Nigerians have been able to create things. So slowly but surely, Nigeria is coming out from that consumption nation, which was draining many people. Because of the consuming, not creating anything or not having the initiative to create. It was draining people. But now many people, even if it's as simple as a mopping stick or something, they are beginning to create and things are getting better. So that mindset is one that everybody needs to now imbibe, not just even waiting for government, and then changing our perception towards how we perceive the things that we create. How is that relevant to this? It's relevant to this conversation because an average Nigerian is already taught or orientated, knowingly or unknowingly, to see things that are imported rather. To see things that are imported or things that are not created in the country as superior, and to see things that are created in the country as then we will wait for it to sort of counterfeit or some sort of inferior product. So all of this mindset are some of the things that could have even helped. And I'm telling you, as a council, these are some of the mindset that could have helped the delay of this thing. Then of course now we have the corruption part of it. People are gaining from the exporting. Let me not say the word, but most people, those agents that are choosing to not allow Nigeria rise, they are just holding it there. All those things are going to come to an end. What is about? TVC is on one hand, but beyond that, beyond people saying taking their PVC or taking action, it's really about the consequences of wicked people coming out. When you show consequences, you're not saying you're releasing somebody from jail because it's 60 years old or because it's 18 years old. When people are taught to go through their consequences, we are going to see different results. So all I've said is to help us generally solve this from the root problem, from the root of the problem. Because, well, at least that's how me I'm choosing to answer. If we go around talking by the side, talking around it, I don't know where it's going to get us, because one of these things that I've been said on the newspaper today, is going to be done. And that's unfortunately. And Nigerians will shout, everybody will jump, is that the people continue to maintain the high price of like something is going to happen that will not be favorable between now and whenever it's going to be implemented. That's just unfortunately the fact. And Nigerians will depend again with suffering, smiling, and managing the situation. So that's why we just need to change.
So as we get to talk about this cost of diesel and the rising cost, let's not forget that a lot of businesses, when it comes to good power supply, we're not there yet. We agree. Now, a lot of businesses actually run almost 24/7 on diesel. Now, they're currently buying at 800, 850. Businesses are complaining already. They're feeling it already. Now we are projecting that it's going to be sold at 1,500 naira per liter. Let's look at how many people this is going to affect if something is not done about the cost of diesel. if businesses have to get to the point where they're like, okay, yes, the effect, our expenditure, we cannot go ahead with this. We cannot go ahead with this, or they have to maybe reduce the size of their staff strength, or they have to lay some people off, things like that. Now, don't forget that it's not just about that person they're asking to go. That person probably has like 4 other people that depend on them outside there, and those people, for some reason, it's not just adding up. How many people work for the government? Because some people will say, oh, some people are employed somewhere else. If you look at it, most small businesses, private-owned businesses are suffering from this already. They're suffering. And if nothing is being done, we don't want to have a case where businesses are collapsing so they can manage or make do with what they have. It is sad. We're not doing anything to help business owners in the country to give them like a leveling environment where people can actually just run business without one complaint or the other. COVID just happened. People are just trying to recover. The entrance process just happened. Some people lost money, goods, and all of that. People are just trying to pick up their lives from where they left off. And now Diesel is doing this to people, Signal.
Well, yes, this is the country that we are living in, unfortunately. And business people are already reacting to some of these things. Not only are they talking about it, coming out to talk about it. The other day I bought something, it was a snack, I think popcorn or something like that. And the only thing I felt in the thing that I bought was the nylon.
You can imagine
the
empty pack, just
like sand inside it. This is the reaction and the response that business people are already giving, because